Hello, welcome to quick sorting using divide and conquer algorithm. Before going directly into the algorithm, let us first see what sorting means. Consider your teacher asks you to arrange yourselves in the order of your height. What will you do? The shortest one among you will stand at the front portion of the row, and the tallest among you will stand at the end portion of the row, right? Looking at the screen, you can see that these students have not arranged themselves in the proper order, but they do, it will be like this. The shortest one at the very beginning and the tallest one at the end of the row. Now you can see there is another person who divides the total row into two parts. Towards his right, everyone is shorter than him, and towards his left, everyone is taller than him. This person is dividing the total row into two parts, right? Now let us consider another case. Which student has placed herself at the proper position? This girl, right? She is the shortest of all the students in the class. She has placed herself at the first position. So we can say that she is already sorted. She is in a sorted position. Let us consider another case. Take some numbers 10, 80, 90, 60, 30, 20. This is the smallest number 10, right? 10 has placed itself at the very first position of the row, which means that 10 is already sorted. We can say 10 is a pivot element in the total elements, among the total elements. Another concept. Take some other numbers 6, 3, 5, 4, 2, 9. And here 9 is the largest element, and 9 has placed itself at the end of the row, which is its proper position if it is a sorted line. Now we can see that 9 is a pivot element. What about this case? Element 10 divides the total row into two parts. Towards the right of element 10, all elements are smaller than 10, and towards the left of element 10, all elements are greater than 10, right? So this 10, we can call it as pivot element. Divide and conquer means a pivot element will divide a particular row, a particular set of elements into two parts, and these two parts will be further sorted using the same procedure. So we will keep on dividing and conquering, dividing and sorting, dividing and sorting. That is why we call this as divide and conquer algorithm. Now let us consider some numbers starting from 10 and ends in infinity. Infinity is a very high number. Let us take 10 as pivot element and take two pointers I and j. I looks for elements which are greater than the pivot element 10, and j looks for elements which are lesser than the pivot element 10. I starts looking for greater elements, finds 16. J starts looking for smaller elements, finds 5. When both these elements finds corresponding numbers, they swaps their positions. 5 to 16 and 6 to the position of 16 to the position of 5. This process continues. I looks for greater number, finds 12. J looks for lesser number than 10, finds 9, and then these elements swaps their positions. I further looks for greater element than 10, finds 15. J finds a lesser element, which is 3, and these elements swaps their positions. This process continues. I finds a greater number 15. J finds lesser number 6. Now I has crossed J, so the pivot elements comes to the position of J. Now you can see that the pivot element 10 has partitioned the total row into two parts. Towards the right hand side, all the elements are lesser than the pivot element, and towards the left side, all the elements are greater than the pivot element. Now let us take the elements on the right hand side, which are lesser elements than the pivot elements. The process continues and we start sorting the elements in the same way, and pivot elements further divides the elements into two parts. All the elements on the right hand side becomes smaller than the pivot element, and towards the left hand side becomes larger than the pivot element. Now apply the same algorithm, same logic on the right hand side of the large first row. We have 15, 12, 16 and infinity. These are the sorted elements. These are the unsorted elements on the right hand side of the pivot element. Let us take these elements alone. For these elements, we are taking 15 as the pivot element. Now we have I and j. I looking for the elements which are greater than the pivot element, and j looks for the element which are lesser than the pivot element. Now we can see that I and j has changed its positions and j happened to cross I. When this happens, the pivot element takes the position of j, and the element in the position of j takes the position of pivot element. The sorting is complete. Now we can see that all the elements has now been sorted by dividing it using a pivot element and sorting. This is how quick sorting through divide and conquer algorithm works. Thank you very much.